9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
And they're off, and it's Jorn off to a great start. No major bobbles in the back. We're waiting for Lee and Neil to make an appearance. Lee drops back, Neil's catching up to him, and Jorn is being caught by Lee now. Oh, there's a bobble. Who's that?
That's Hupo gone to the back of the pack, but Jorn still steadfast in the front with Lee Martin coming up behind him to the cobbled corner as Jorn goes around the hairpin to the front drum.
You can see where some of the drivers have a bit of a loose moment and losing a bit of space, but it's the first three out in force, and it's Jorn, Lee, and Neil. And coming through the crazy paving S's over the tabletop, over the rumble strip. Little mistake from Neil there. Over the bridge, and we're watching Jorn Neumann going around the crazy paving cobblestone corner. And it looks like we're getting a bit of a spacing between the top three.
Lee's just backing off there. I think a couple of mistakes just out of camera have brought together the front two, so now it's definitely a clear battle for Jorn, chased down by Lee Martin, the current champion, wanting probably the man who wants more than anybody else to take the championship off him, and who is out in front of him as he goes onto the checkered bridge.
Neil seems to be running by himself, and, well, not completely by himself. He doesn't want to fall too far back. He's definitely got a good gap to David, who's being chased hard by Darren, who hits the hairpin. That's kind of his, like I said, his trademark. And Jorn and Lee getting really good air off the green mile there, coming down the crazy paving S's. Neil definitely all by himself, and we've got a really good battle between David and Darren coming over just about to go over the bridge. Darren trying to get around David. Definitely. Darren's really putting on the pressure, but sometimes he can definitely make a mistake on his own as he's trying to get the really tight lines. Oh, Darren, yep, there we go. He smacks the back and bottoms out and flips up.
We go back to Jorn going over the front bobbles, getting really, really close there with Lee Martin coming up behind him, just waiting, I imagine, just soaking up the fact that Jorn will be feeling all of the pressure, and Martin just doing the pressuring. It's a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to be the follower than the followed. So, but you know, Jorn, he's definitely got the championship heritage behind him already. So, we'll see what sort of pressure he's able to absorb from Lee. As it looks like he's been able to make a bit of a gap on Lee, or Lee has maybe gotten loose a little bit. And Darren has definitely fallen back behind David Ronefalk, and he's being caught himself. I believe that's Martin Bayer and Hupo.
Jorn going to the end of the green mile with Lee Martin going around Tarzan as they come into the cobbled section and over the mini tabletop.
It's definitely got a bigger gap between Jorn and Lee now. Neil doesn't seem to be making up any space, and then there's a huge gap to Darren. And that's Martin Bayer and David Ronefalk must have had a big moment, because now he is running in 6th, I believe. He's been passed by Martin and Hupo. So coming over the tabletop, we have Jorn, and then there's Lee. It looks like Lee is either maybe backed off and or he's maybe just not finding the track conditions to his liking.
He didn't take the entry to the tabletop or the exit from the tabletop as I know he would have wanted to. Not particularly smooth with the back end sliding out and hitting the side, so losing him seconds there and giving Jorn a bit more breathing space as he comes around Tarzan into the cobbled section.
Hupo had a big moment coming off of the double single, and he's being caught by David Ronefalk, car number 5 and car number 7, and they're going over the green mile right now. So we have Jorn, followed by Lee, followed by Neil. Just a couple seconds between each of them, and then we have Darren being chased. No, I'm sorry, Darren is chasing Neil. He's in 4th, Martin Bayer in 5th. Current running order is Jorn Neumann, Lee Martin, Neil Craig, Darren Bloomfield, Martin Bayer, Hupo Honegal, Christopher Swenson, David Ronefalk, Oliver Schultz, and Wesley Van Helden.
30 seconds to go. I'm sure all of you will want to be seeing Jorn Neumann as he flies down the straight with probably a textbook first leg. only 17 seconds left for something to go
Coming
wrong
on the
for him.
crazy S's, and that is Neil having a massive moment at the end of the green mile, going end over end into the Tarzan curves. And it is Jorn Norman coming over the checkerboard bridge. A textbook run, absolutely not even pressured by Lee, and he comes over to take the win in the first A final, with Lee coming in second, Neil coming in several seconds behind in third. Darren Bloomfield just about to come over the double. There he is. And so the finishing order was John Norman, Jorn Norman, Lee Martin, Neil Cragg, Darren Bloomfield, Martin Bayer, Hupo Honigel, Christopher Svensson, David Ronefalk, Oliver Schultz, and Wesley Van Helmond.
Jorn, a pretty textbook first opening leg for you.
Yeah, it was much better than in practice. I don't know, I struggled a little bit. Maybe because I used tires in the practice, but now with new tires, the car was very good.
You didn't seem nervous out there, you didn't seem pressured by Lee, you just seemed to be driving your own race.
Yeah, I tried to push a little bit in the beginning to make a small gap and then just drive my race.
So what are we going to see from you in the third leg, just playing it safe now?
Yeah, not safe. I think same as first A main.
Okay, well, best of luck.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
And then it goes silent so that we have a random start, and they're off once again. And it looks like everybody is clean. Nope, there's been a crash towards the back of the field going to the first corner, and it is Jorn easily out in the lead with Lee Taylor behind him, Lee Martin, sorry, and Neil Cragg very close behind Neil. And we've got David Ronefalk hoping to finish much better than he did in the first race, directly behind Neil. And it's just a freight train running, going over the doubles to cross the start-finish line. Neil has passed Lee going down the straight and going into the green mile and into Tarzan curve. So Jorn has a massive lead. I can't actually see who's running 8th tonight, but that's okay. We're staying with the leaders.
Sticking very close to the leaders. Let's not worry too much about the crashes back in the field because they're never going to catch Jorn. Let's face it, Jorn out in front, down the straights.
Followed very closely by Lee, who is leading Neil. Neil already challenging Lee for second place, but he's fallen back. He must have made a mistake somewhere along the way.
But that is not going to do anything for Lee's confidence whatsoever if his British teammate is able to get past him.
Yeah, especially on the straight. Now, David Ronefalk is harassing Neil Cragg. Hupo Honigel just behind David as well. And it looks like Ronefalk has...
Oh, and Jorn rolls at the end of the straight. That brings Lee Martin right up to him onto the green mile and goes past him into the jumps. Going onto Tarzan, Lee is out into front. That was a mistake he was waiting for. That was the grip roll at the end of the straight.
Ah, right, okay. That could have been that jump that I pointed out earlier in the broadcast. Now, we've got Lee and Jorn and David Ronefalk. Neil has fallen right back. He's going to be hating it. And coming over the doubles, we've got Lee, followed by Jorn and David Ronefalk and Hupo.
Now, we've seen before, Lee did not seem to have the pace to catch up Jorn, but Jorn will not. And
Lee! Oh no, Jorn takes over the lead again from Lee, who crashed in the crazy paving
But
S's.
Lee gets flipped back into position by the marshal in time so that he can't be bothered too much by Neil Cragg, who is being hassled for third position. But there's more crashes below there. That takes them out of contention as Jorn goes onto the straight, down to the end of the straight, turns into the green mile, doesn't make the same mistake he made in the previous lap.
Jorn's got a massive lead over Lee. David Ronefalk, Christopher Svensson, and Darren Bloomfield all battling. Neil is trying to battle himself way up from, well, very low. He's in 6th position at the moment. And Jorn Norman is going over the checkerboard bridge, and there goes Lee with David Ronefalk just a couple seconds behind. The slightest mistake, once again, will put him in the clutches of David.
And let's see just how far the distance is that Jorn has. He's got almost the full length of the green mile on Lee Martin, who has about half the length of the green mile on David.
So, running order at the moment is Jorn, Lee, David, Darren, and Neil in the top 5 positions. Darren has moved himself up from 6th. He's running in 4th position. Neil is trying to recover and get back into 3rd, at least from his 8th position place that he was in. Now, let's see where Where are the leaders going around Tarzan corner into the crazy waving S's?
Crazy S's.
Going over the tabletop, and we've got Lee chasing down Jorn. Well, this is, I'm sure that's not the drama. Oh, and Jorn rolls it.
As the marshal slips on the surface, that brings them up closer together.
Yep, and Lee is hoping for another one of those mistakes from Jorn as he chases him down the straight and going over and into the green mile.
Well, there is a smaller gap there. It's not the full length of the green mile, is it? As Jorn goes into the crazy S's, he's half the distance as they go over the tiny tabletop into the crazy pave section onto the checkered table.
It looks like Lee is just able to eke out, reel in Jorn just the tiniest bit. We'll see what the straightaway brings, and they're both able to get through the first corner.
43 seconds to go. We have not seen the same flawless Jorn Neumann in this final. Maybe that is because he is now just over 30 seconds away from being the new two-wheel drive European champion, unless Lee Martin can profit from another mistake that he makes.
So the running order at the moment is Jorn in first, Lee Martin in second, David Ronefalk has taken over third, Neil Cragg is still moving up through the order. He is, however, in fourth, Darren Bluefield in fifth. Wesley Van Helmen has moved up from 10th into sixth position. Hupo Honigel has fallen from fifth start to seventh place. We only have 7 seconds left to go, whereas Jorn and Lee is hoping to pour on the pressure.
They're closing up now.
Going over the bridge, around the crazy paving, and this is it. This is it. Only can Lee profit from anything? No, that is it. Jorn is the new two-wheel drive 2013 two-wheel drive championship.
Jorn, driver and car doing exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, I made a small mistake, and then Lee could pass me. So, but then luckily he made also a mistake, and I could go back in the lead and stay cool, and could do it.
You weren't quite the flawless picture we saw in the first heat. Was that just nerves?
A little bit, yeah.
And yes, like you say, Lee got ahead of you just for a very short time. And what were you thinking then?
Yeah, I thought now I need to really push really hard to make up the gap, but then he made a mistake, and I was easy in the lead. And on the last lap, I think he pushed very hard and came back, but luckily it was over for me.
What about the DEX 210? Has it performed well?
Yeah, it was very good from the beginning. We had some new parts, and they worked very good.
Congratulations, Jorn. You're the new two-wheel drive European champion. Sealed it in just 2 finals. As I lower my voice because the show must continue as the drivers prepare to carry on with the next final.
And they are off and racing. Let's see if there's any trouble in the first corner. There is not. They are going up the green mile. And let's see, there's no dramas going through the green mile. No, one car has gone off. Let's see, that is Lee, followed by Neil, and coming around and over the bridge.
Chasing down.
Neil is, he's on a mission. You can just tell he's driving really, really aggressively behind Lee. And they are pulling away. Of course, these guys, for several rounds of qualifying, they owned qualifying. They just absolutely dominated. So let's see what Neil can do over the green mile. He's not making up. Well, there you go. Lee goes a bit wide.
Yes.
Yep. He goes too wide, and now he's caught up once again. So going around the double switchback, up the concrete ramp over the metal bridge, checkerboard bridge, around the cobbler's roundabout. They are definitely pulling away. You can't even see the rest of the cars in the shot. And down the main straight. No wheelies here. They want to maintain control going through the first corner and over the green mile. Around the Tarzan curve, down the crazy paving S's. Let's see. It looks like Lee has pulled out just a bit of a gap.
Yes.
I don't think that means that Neil has made a mistake. I think that is just his pace. It looks like there was a crash behind. That's okay. These guys don't care. They're going for second place. They want to finish the next place down on the... Well, they don't want to finish second place. They want to finish first, but... there's a mistake from Lee going through the turn. Did he hit that mysterious bump that you can just barely see?
I'm sure that's
That is Neil in the lead, followed very closely by Lee. Let's see how aggressive Lee can drive now to catch and pass Neil going over the checkerboard bridge.
So I think
down.
he's got the pace on Neil, to be honest.
I think he does as well. But
What
who
we
is
see
this?
from this is that both of them could take themselves out of contention if they
I
cause
believe
a
this is
massive
David
accident.
Ronafal coming up right behind Lee, and they are evenly spaced out. There's such a massive gap behind them. David Ronafal has made a mistake, and let's see, that is, oh, I'm sorry, that is Darren Bloomfield. So there's 3 Brits in the lead now. We've got Neil, Lee, and Darren. All, you could throw a beach towel over them once again, and coming around the Cobbler's Corner roundabout, around the hairpin, that is Darren Bloomfield's problem area, but he's directly behind Lee. Yeah, these guys know each other really, really well. So, once again, at the moment, it's kind of the show of the Brits. They are so far in the lead, you can't even see the rest of the field. They are very, very close together. Oh, and Darren almost hits Lee's back, but nope. Lee has Neil. That's given Neil a bit of a breathing space between himself and Lee. Now it's definitely a battle. It's going to be a blocking battle for Lee to keep Darren off of him.
Which is all helping Neil to get away.
Yep, and Darren has made a mistake coming out of the final turn. Lee is caught up right on the back of Neil, coming through the crazy paving S's. Neil touches the sideboard and allows Lee to catch up just a bit again, coming over the bridge. Checkerboard bridge, that's a very loose metal surface coming around the rough cobbled corner and over the doubles in front of the driver's stand, and that cone there is the final timing position. So, through the Green Mile, no dramas there. Lee bicycles it around the Tarzan curve. Darren has definitely dropped right off. I think he's going to be just satisfy himself with third, maybe. Who knows? We'll see if he comes back later in the race. Meanwhile, it's Lee following Neil very, very closely. You could, if you put your foot down, you just step on both cars. Not that you'd want to, but just saying that's how close they are. Very, very close down the straight. We saw these guys battling down the straight in the first race, and pressure on the crazy paving S's coming over the tabletop and the rumble strips.
Exactly a minute to go now.
Yes, less than a minute to go now. We have Neil Cragg followed by Lee Martin, Darren Bloomfield, Hoopa Honegal, Martin Bayer, and Christopher Swenson in 6th place. So over the doubles in front of the audience.
Go Lee are the calls from the people on the YouTube stream.
Well, we'll see what Lee can do. Oh, he's gone way too wide. Is that Darren who's now cut in front of him again? Darren makes a mistake in the crazy paving S's, and now it's Lee following Darren. Oh, man. Well, that's a massive disappointment for his fans, I'm sure. Oh, and Darren makes a mistake coming down off the metal bridge.
Allows Lee back into 2nd place.
Yes, and let's see how aggressive Darren can drive to take that 2nd position and move himself up the standings as they go over and through the Green Mile. No, Lee makes another massive mistake in the Tarzan curve. Darren will easily past him and has gapped him. This is the final lap that these guys are going to be on. That's it. That is time done. Neil has the win. He will almost certainly take, well, we'll see whether the computer sends him. And that's Darren with 2nd, doing wheels in a pirouette down the straight.
That was just impressive.
And Lee takes 3rd.
Thank you for tuning in to us today. It has been a bit of a roller coaster ride, but we got there in the end. Congratulations to Jorn Neumann. Final thought for the day?
Wow, this has been my first announcing experience, and it's been tough and interesting, and you've done a great job to get us back online after a very unexpected technical hitch, shall we say.
Who would have thought that cheesy Europop could cause so many problems? But it did. It's a long story. We'll discuss it in the bar. If you want to know what happened, I'm sure we'll tell you when we meet you at any race meetings if we bump into you in the future. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you to Proline. Thank you to Durango and the DEX 210, the best car on this track today.
Yeah, and obviously powered by Dual Sky.
Powered by Dual Sky. Check us out on Facebook. More and more people joining the group all the time. But for now, we're going to leave you with a nice shot of the Spanish horizon. Goodbye.